Hello and thanks for joining us on Africa Independent Television, AIT, and welcome to the Signature Show. I am Nwabueze Njoku. Now, this Sunday, we were to focus our attention on the Taraba State kidnap kingpin Wadume. The many revelations he is reported to have made, the involvement of an army captain, allegedly, security personnel alleged to be on the payroll of Wadume, and other matters arising. Now, we want to raise some critical questions on how the Nigerian security leadership reacted to the allegation many months back of institutional complicity in the killings around the country. And this was made by no other than former defense minister, former chief of army staff, an experienced combat general and military politician, General T.Y. Danjuma. Did our security leadership dismiss his allegations offhand? In fact, we had interviewed some security experts, retired army officers, but our editorial board meeting, we concluded that we could be accused of undermining the work of the presidential panel, unraveling all the details of that horrendous killing in Taraba State of 3 of Nigeria's best trained undercover police operatives. We may even be accused of obtaining classified information, just in case some of our conclusions matched what the panel would recommend. So we decided to stand down that episode of this program for next time, maybe when the panel has done the job, but you can be assured that we bring it to you subsequently. However, what we will not wait to see its outcome is the appointment of Muhammadu Buhari, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, again as the Minister of Petroleum Resources. Now, in 2019, when the petroleum industry across the world has become revolutionized by technology, when petroleum industry is being handled as purely an economic enterprise, when the dynamics of the industry are being driven by knowledge and strategic thinking and response to the economic variables emerging every day, can a Muhammadu Buhari, with all sense of understanding of his desire for accountability, superintend over the affairs of Nigeria's oil industry with any expected difference or change from what he knew many decades ago when he was petroleum minister? We will interrogate this issue in our interview segment this Sunday. For now, let us ask the Information Minister, Lai Mohammed, what the political philosophy of the present APC federal government is all about. He defends that government. Is the government drifting towards more intolerance? And is it Lai Mohammed, the Information Minister's advice to the president? Now look, last Friday, the Information Minister hinted at more aggressive restriction of Nigeria's media space. President Muhammadu Buhari, Lai Mohammed said, would constrict the social media space by licensing online radio and television platforms. Please, may I ask, is the government's image, information, security, legal managers overwhelmed by the many disparate and, in some instances, uncomplimentary materials being broadcast by these online channels? Let me recall that Dr. Oluonogorowa, my lecturer in communication law, once said to us as students that there is no infraction in the media for which there is no legal remedy. I just wonder which is more civilized, to clamp down on dissenting voices so that you will hear only yourself and your view, or opening up the space and taking appropriate legal action against any infractions within the opinions, and why the many opinions serve you to see your face, kind of mirror. Now, Nigerians have been speaking on their Nigerian dream, the dream nation they want, whether the presidents, present ministers can deliver on their expectations, and which ministers hold any significant hope for them. It is in our perspective.
Honestly, I need Nigeria to become a developed country like Europe and the Asian country. That is my own expectation.
I will say that I want Nigeria to be a place where everything is standard. Every necessary facilities needed in the country established, good road, good health. I've talked about education and health before, so that things can move well and smooth in the country.
Most of the ministers, even though they are Muslim and Christian, they are corrupt. They don't have the fear of Allah. They are not coming to help, only few of them. The one I saw among the ministers had the sidika. I've never been to him, but I know him. Spiritual, he's very good. And Gareba Shehu, special advisor. Some of them are corrupt.
Well, President Muhammadu Buhari can do his best because he has only some 3 years and let's say 4 years. So with this shortest time, I don't think we can lead to that developed country.
Definitely, if they put their acts together, make the right consultations, they will lead us. It is not, even after 8 years, it's not a job. Well, it's not a finished job, but you do your best and you leave the stage for the next person. Let's look at the transport sector. I base in Port Harcourt, and we have a rail corridor, the eastern corridor from Port Harcourt through Aba, Enugu. Well, we need the rail sector to pick up. We need the marine sector the water sector to pick up. I think former Governor Amechi, who is now the current minister, he has the will to do it, but then we look at other forces behind.
Last week, President Muhammadu Buhari announced portfolios for the new ministers after their inauguration. Something emerged that President Muhammadu Buhari retained the portfolio of petroleum resources. Debates have begun. And so this Sunday, we join issues. And I have in the studio people who know. I'm sure that you know my friend Madakiame. Madakiame and I discussed a very contentious issue on this program, and it was very well informed. But Madakiame, a lawyer who is deep into the oil and gas sector, he knows. Madaki, you are welcome to the conversation.
Thank you.
Also this afternoon, I have two people instead of one because of the nature of the issue we are discussing. And I have Peter Ademo Ete, former public relations manager of Shell. So you now know that he knows. And also now the CEO of Enentis Communications. Peter, you're welcome to the conversation.
It's my pleasure.
Manak, let me just ask you straight away. You've heard that the president is the Minister for Petroleum Resources. This president was a minister in the same portfolio more than 2 decades back. So his experience of the industry will arise from the knowledge he garnered then. Do you think that experience can fit into the operations of the oil industry in 2019?
To be precise, the president was the Commissioner for Petroleum Resources 42 years ago in 1977 when President Olusegun Obasanjo was the head of state. And the blunt truth is that the oil and gas industry has moved on from those days of infancy 42 years ago. And in 2019, you are not going to use the knowledge of 1977 to run an oil and gas industry and expect to achieve any tangible results. So much as one doesn't take away from him the possible objective of doing this, because the Nigerian economy dwells largely on oil and gas resources. If you realize that the industry accounts for easily 90 to 95% of our foreign exchange earnings, you know, and it's responsible for about 20 to 25% of our GDP, you know, and forms a huge chunk until the losses that NNPC perpetually now declares, it's supposed to form a huge chunk of our national budget in terms of revenue source. We cannot ignore the oil and gas industry. But the reality, just to answer your question specifically, is that you cannot use the knowledge of 1977, you know, and the patriotism of 1977, you know, to try to run a 2019 industry where there are so many new developments. There is so much of oil and gas speak, you know, that the president is not in tandem with, clearly, because he's not been, you know, practicing that aspect of his knowledge. And it takes more than just experience or having done it before, you know, 42 years ago, and also patriotism in wanting to ensure that people don't steal oil money, you know, to be in charge. I think the oil industry, for the criticality of the industry to the Nigerian economy, deserves to operate on full blast cylinders. And the only way to do that is to have a senior minister who comes there, is knowledgeable about the industry, is passionate about the industry, and is also respected among his peers in OPEC and in the oil and gas industry internationally, to be able to provide direction and focus. But what we are going to see in the next 4 years, if we are not careful, is a situation where knowledge is going to take the backstage, and politics is going to take, you know, the prime stage. Because even the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timipre Silva, who was announced, you know, to oversee this industry and assist the president in his substantive capacity as Minister of Petroleum, has never been known to be an oil and gas person. You know, he has never featured in the oil and gas industry. He has never worked in the oil and gas industry. So even though he's from Bayelsa State, where the bulk, you know, a huge chunk of our production, you know, in the upstream sector comes from, coming from Bayelsa State, playing politics in Bayelsa State, does not give you the grounding in the industry that is required to lead this industry to the next level, which I think, you know, the president desires, you know, which is the watchword, you know, of you know, and the catchphrase and the slogan of the party of the president. So I think we've gotten the strategy for the oil and gas industry wrong, and I fear that we may not see the sort of impact that we expect to see, you know, for the petroleum ministry in the next 4 years.
Let me interject here, Madaki. All over the world, virtually, this industry is being driven by commercial considerations, and the outcome of those commercial considerations provide funds and resources to run whatever else in the country. If the prime consideration in appointing the minister is political satisfaction, are we getting that narrative right?
Thank you. You see, I'll just take a step back before I come to your question. The oil and gas industry is knowledge and technology driven. It is that knowledge that translates to commercial considerations, capacity. It is not about emotions. Now, NNPC has been posting losses Last year, Saudi Aramco declared $111 billion US profit, net profit. Now, if we put the cart before the horse, it will not work. Anywhere in the world, the foundation of the society is the economy. Political and legal institutions are built on the sound foundation of economy. But when you now go and put political consideration at the foundation and build economy on top of it, it will not work. This is what we see happening. Also, the issue of emotion, I call it emotion. Oh, you may think the president may say he wants to fight corruption. There are many ways of fighting corruption. Like Madaki pointed out, oil accounts for over, at least I can say about 95% of our foreign exchange earnings. And plus minus about over 80% of our federal collective revenue. So oil is Nigeria's jugular. And the contribution to GDP between 10 to 15%. So you cannot take oil lightly. All the money that the states and the federal government gather to share at the end of every month to power what I call feeding bottle democracy comes from oil. If there's no oil again, then the babies will start crying because there will be no milk in the feeding bottle again. Or may be dead. So that is the reason why we should throw away emotions and throw away political considerations and put knowledgeable and competent people that have a commercial mindset, that understand the industry, so that they will be able to provide solutions that will take the oil, take us out of the quagmire we are in now. For the past 4 years, nothing has happened. The president has been there for the past 4 years as the Minister of Petroleum. For the past 4 years, common turnaround maintenance of the refineries they have not been able to do. The 4 refineries have combined production capacity of about 445,000 barrels. If you convert that crude conversion now to liters of fuel, talking about over 70 million liters of fuel if the refineries are producing at full capacity per day. The former GM of NNPC, Kachuku, former Minister of State later, said our daily consumption is about 30 million liters per day. Which means if you are producing, say, if the 4 refineries are working and you are producing over 70 million liters, we'll be selling about 40 million liters across the West African sub-region. We lost that opportunity. Rather, we keep importing and importing under very opaque conditions. The previous government that we're accusing of being corrupt had a kind of a subsidy arrangement where you bid, the kind of little transparency. Today, NNPC is the alpha and omega. Nobody is competing with them. Nobody is challenging the price regime. And right now, the landing cost of liter is about 175 naira, and you are selling the same liter of petrol at pump price of 145 naira. Is that how to do business? So the shortfall of 20 naira per liter, who is paying for it? So subsidy now, for the past 4 years, is being taken through the back door. Furthermore,
under recovery, it is called.
Under
recovery.
Well, whether they call it under recovery or not, the subsidy through the back door. Furthermore, like Madaki pointed out, knowledge of 40 years ago is obsolete in the industry. The oil industry is very dynamic. It's changing. Now, other people are thinking of how to even diversify from oil and gas, because if you look at the EU-wide ban on the 2040 deadline for abolition of fossil fuel use in the automobile industry, banning a combustible engine to move to electric car, what are we doing about that? Nobody is thinking. Number 2, gas. We have our gas reserve at 202 trillion standard cubic feet of gas. In the past 4 years, what has happened? The reserves are just there, dormant.
Or being flared.
And being flared, well, the flaring is still going on, but even most of the proven reserves of gas, they're untapped. Now, finally, in the past 4 years, with modern technology, I have said it before and I'll say it again, the refineries we have can be rekitted, they can be retooled, but at what cost? I'm a businessman. I do cost-benefit analysis. Can we not build new refineries? Now, the whole talk about, whether you have to remove subsidy or not to remove subsidy, the Minister of Petroleum cannot drive that discussion because he doesn't understand what we are talking about.
Peter, I will come to that. Okay. In the course of this conversation, Madaki, you've mentioned corruption. Maybe the president wants to ensure that there's not much corruption in the oil and gas industry. So that's why he's taking charge as the anti-corruption czar in the oil and gas sector. But can the president really, as petroleum minister, stop corruption in the absence of a very well-organized process that has technology backing it, which is not the case in Nigeria's oil and gas sector today?
You know, the point that we need to drive home is the fact that the president does not need to take charge of specific ministries to be able to stamp out corruption from that ministry or government department. Otherwise, he will be in charge of all the ministries and he will not need to appoint ministers. So having said that, you know, because, for instance, you know, the Ministry of Finance is responsible for all the funds that come into the country. That would be a good ministry for the president to preside over if he really wants to fight corruption. But he's not the Minister of Finance. You know, and then he says, okay, I want to be Minister of Petroleum because I held that position 42 years ago. And he has not attended any oil and gas conferences. He doesn't go to NMPC to occupy his ministerial office, you know, to mentor the staff, train, ensure that they are trained, they get the work done properly, you know, and all of that. So how does he expect to be a Minister of Petroleum in an effective manner from his from the recesses of his office, you know, and the comfort of his office in Aso Rock? It's not going to work. You know, so when the Minister of the Minister of State wants to get an approval or wants to drive an initiative, he goes to make a presentation to him. Maybe when he goes, the other ministers are holding a Federal Executive Council meeting. There's no time to discuss that issue that day. It's postponed by the Chief of Staff, you know, to some other day. The thing may not wait because the decision-making process in the oil and gas industry is very, very fluid. You know, 1 minute in the industry it can cost a lot of money. So you need somebody who is hands-on, who understands how the market is moving, who understands, you know, the nuances of the market, and who also is ready to make phone calls to his peers in Saudi Arabia, in Venezuela, in Russia, even if they are not within OPEC, you know, to see what's going on, you know, so that, you know, decisions can be real-time online, more like. The president doesn't have the time to do that, especially because, you know, he superintends over a much larger country where you have the problem of Ministry of Women Affairs competing at the same time with the Ministry of Trade and Investment, or the Ministry of Labor and Employment, where the staff want to go on strike, you know, because of minimum wage issues. How do you expect a Minister of Petroleum, who is also the president, to be attending to the issues of whether the prices of crude oil are going up or coming down, or whether you need to refine locally or refine abroad, or whether you need to give new licenses, you know, for new acreages, you know, in green fields, or whether you need to give modular, refinery licenses, you know, to people who want to set up modular refineries. He won't be able to cope. So there's no point burdening himself. You know, that's the psychological feeling that he's in charge of the petroleum industry and so nothing can go wrong. It's a joke because we haven't seen that happen in between 2015 and 2019. So what tells us, how are we then going to see, what are we going to see differently between 2019 and 2023? We do not expect to see any miracles. And that's why I think that, you know, because we, you know, our people say that, you know, if any journey that you have not taken too far, you know, to make to backtrack is not difficult. That backtracking has to happen almost immediately. To say, okay, fine, you know, we need to look for an experienced, you know, seasoned industry person who has the patriotism and the knowledge of, you know, of the issues in the industry at heart, who is current with the issues of the industry, to be in charge of this ministry as a substantive minister. And that person can effectively supervise a timid press receiver, a timid press receiver, for instance, who actually is a novice in the industry. Let's call it bluntly.
Madaki, I'll come back to you shortly. So I want us to look at some of the challenges in the industry. But Peter, let me make you a soothsayer. Let me make you an augurer who can look into the seas of time. Why do you think that the president, beyond our story of being an anti-corruption czar, why do you think he's making a political decision of what is a critical sector that can determine the survival or otherwise of this country?
Mabuzi, thanks. The answer is very simple. I may not even be a soothsayer, it's clear. For politicians, and that's why we're not making progress as a country. Elsewhere in the world, in advanced democracies, patriotism is not just being touted or mouthed. Patriotism is demonstrated to improve quality of lives of people, to make systems work. But in Nigeria, an average politician, the moment he wins election, he starts preparing for the next election in 4 years' time. Meanwhile, he has not exhausted the 4 years mandate given to him. What I see the president doing with the appointments, especially in the industry, is all about political calculation against 2023. But beyond that, I see that if you don't put square pegs in square holes, you won't get results. If you don't, it's like going to ATM. If you don't have money deposit in your account, and you go and put the ATM card into the ATM machine, it will tell you insufficient fund. There's no amount of prayer or magic that will make ATM machine bring money for you. So what the president has done is part of making himself relevant. Or making what I call motions without movement. A kind of a Brownian motion, self-canceling and incoherent and directionless. Look at the challenges facing this country. Even the issue of insecurity should be enough to give the president sleepless nights. So where do you think he will have the time now? He's a retired general. He's a security expert. So I will even think that he should even double as Minister of Defense.
Exactly.
Where he has, though security is an ongoing, there will be changes there, but that is his area of competence. But he has chosen to hold on to the Nigerian jugular so that he can be in charge and to create the impression that he's in charge. But we're not seeing progress.
But somebody who's in charge, I'm not putting words into your mouth,
yes,
can also dispense patronage.
Somebody that's in charge
can dispense patronage.
Yes, he can dispense patronage in a very legitimate and effective way. But when I'm in charge and I don't have the capacity or the capability, I am likely to cripple the system.
You might get it wrong.
I'll get it wrong. I'll slow down the system. And I will not even know what to do.
Okay, let us hasten the system. Let us make the system faster.
Yes.
Madaki, you have been part of this oil industry. I'm sure that your everyday analysis, meetings and conferences and seminars, you'll be abreast of challenges in Nigeria's oil industry that any minister ought to be addressing. Can you help us with some of these challenges that any minister should meaningfully, committedly, and let me choose the president's words, patriotically address?
I think the biggest challenge in the industry right now is the problem of subsidy and how to deal with it. For too long now, and that is, when I say for too long, we have been in this since the early 70s, when oil became a prominent part of our lives. We've been subsidizing petroleum products in an extremely inefficient way. Apart from the subsidy on the pumps, and that's what Nigerians need to learn, apart from the fact that, there's this differential between the cost of production, there's this alleged differential, in my view, between the cost of delivering products at the pump and the price which the government believes that the people can pay for it, which the government says, okay, we will absorb because we are big brother, we want to make your life easy. Apart from the huge inefficiency associated with that process, there's also the added subsidy through the Petroleum Equalization Fund. The Petroleum Equalization Fund was set up by decree in 1975 to ensure that petroleum products are sold at the same price in every part of the country. So what do? They say because the cost of transportation of petroleum products from Mosimi, which is a major depot, to let's say Sokoto or Maiduguri, will not be the same as the cost of transportation from Mosimi to a service outlet in Ajegunle. The government will pay the difference to the transporters between transporting from that Mosimi depot to Ajegunle and transporting from the Mosimi depot to Sokoto or Maiduguri. That's what PEF exists to do. So the government is in the business of paying the extra cost of transportation from the nearest depot to the most far-flung outlet to make sure that petrol, diesel, kerosene, all petroleum products are sold at the same price everywhere in the country. That is a joke. I'm sure Nigeria is the only country in the whole wide world that runs its industry an inefficient manner. And I keep wondering how the thought process even came about in the first place. You don't subsidize the cost of Gari, transportation of Gari. You don't subsidize the cost of transportation of yams. You don't subsidize the cost of transportation of even the most basic of amenities, of products that people need to be able to stay alive on a daily basis. And you think that by subsidizing the cost of transportation of petroleum products, you are going to be able to help, ensure that products are sold at every part of the country at the same price, and that's such a necessary thing to do. And then, in doing that, you create so many wealthy people in a very inefficient manner. And that's why we had these scandals recently, where a certain, executive director in Petroleum Equalization Fund, had several billions of naira in his account, entering from about 48 or 49 different accounts, different places where transfers were going into that account. He was receiving alert, multiple alerts from about 49, 50 different sources. It's very easy. So we are here fighting corruption, but we have organizations and institutions that actually do fuel corruption in a way that most Nigerians are not aware of. How can we run a country this way? And I'm shocked, because the more you want to plug the inefficiencies, the more you want to create transparency within the organization and help this country to move ahead, the more we cripple ourselves by inflicting injuries on ourselves. So here we are, running a most inefficient, I think clearly the Nigerian oil and gas industry is the most inefficiently run in the whole wide world. I don't think there's any other people that can run an industry the way we are. We're the only country running our oil and gas industry at a loss. It is a shame for a national oil company to declare losses when what you are selling is almost the same as pure water, as water that comes from the ground. You get the point? It's a no-brainer to sell oil at a profit. But we are unable to because we sell our crude oil cheap, we buy the products back from the same international market at several times the price of the crude. So because there will always be a mismatch between the cost of selling crude, which is cheap, and the cost of buying the products, the refined products at which is exorbitant, you must perpetually be at that loss-making situation. And that's why I keep saying it. Even today, we can run a model that stops the payment of subsidy to anybody absolutely completely, thereby bringing between 2 and 2.5 trillion naira into the economy and available to be spent by government immediately without a single increase in the pump price of petrol. People think that this is almost impossible, but it is doable. We've worked on a model, and we've tested this model both locally and internationally, over the years. And this is something that can be immediately deployed into this economy that will bring in 2.5 trillion, into the economy instantly. And instead of the price of products to go up, the price will actually come down. I make bold to say that immediately we can sell, a liter of petrol, a liter of diesel, a liter of kerosene, either at the current price of 145, if we do not want to unduly disrupt the market, and if we want to make it really profitable, or if we want to prove a point, we can come down to 100 naira per liter. We can go up to 120 naira per liter. We can go up to 130 naira per liter, but definitely not more than 145 naira per liter. And exactly, and that applies both for petrol, diesel that now sells for like 280 naira per liter, and kerosene that sells maybe about 250 naira per liter. We can harmonize all the prices and sell them at anything between 100 naira and 145 naira per liter, and it will, for the first time ever in the history of this country, be profitable to the government. Because if you look at the pricing template of the PPPRA, which is being used at the moment, there is not a single kobo there as tax. And the only way government makes money from the oil, from the sale of petroleum products, is the taxation element. And that's why, if you look at the pricing template for other countries like the UK, the US, there is a huge tax element there, and that it is from that tax that the government makes money. But in Nigeria, there is not a single kobo as tax, because the government is producing crude oil, selling it for cheap, importing refined products expensively, and then subsidizing again, that cost and bringing, using good money to chase bad money as it may be. And then, so how do you expect the government to get anything done? Even on an 8 trillion naira budget, which is just $24 billion, by the way, we still borrow to be able to make it up. And from that borrowing, you are taking 2 or 2.5 trillion naira and throwing it at a so-called subsidy just to make, in your perception, in your warped perception, that you are trying to make life easier for your citizens. When in actual fact, you are enriching a few Nigerians handsomely, in fact, outrageously. So who is the beneficiary? Is it the farmer in my village in Adoka, in Benue State, that is benefiting from the subsidy? He doesn't have a car. His bicycle doesn't take petrol. And he must go to his farm to produce that food every day. So at the end of the day, who is benefiting? Who is this so-called subsidy regime?
Okay, who is benefiting from this subsidy regime? Peter, let me take you back to 2014 January, when the last administration attempted to remove subsidy. Most critical stakeholders in the present government mobilized the Nigerian people against that removal of subsidy. Will it not be committing rank suicide? Will it not be creating a moral hell for themselves to say, okay, let us remove subsidy? Do you think that they'll be excited, or should they face a reality?
Well, I think what has happened is I look at the bulk of the people who are in government now as being chameleonic. They are not consistent. If it is your turn, it is bad. Same issue, same conditions, same variables. If it is my turn, it is. If it is their turn, is good. It's acceptable. Now, also, the government has run a lot of propaganda. And that propaganda has generated a kind of collective amnesia where Nigerians now are not even thinking about what you are asking now. Nigerians are not asking that question again. And third point, this government has no political courage to do the right thing, perhaps for lack of capacity. I keep saying it. I'm from Benue State. We produce yams. Then I go and load my yams in 911 Gongoro. Carry yams, for example, to Lagos. Then businessmen in Lagos will turn the yam into amala and then bring the processed yam flour to Benue, and I'm paying like 3-4 more times the price. Am I in my right senses? Now, this government is clueless. That is the truth. Beyond propaganda of say, oh, no, don't remove subsidy. You're going to now, and that is why they are now paying subsidy through the back door, because they do not have that moral courage. They don't have that political courage. Most of the decisions being taken are political decisions to sustain them in power beyond even 2023. So I do not see them being willing to remove the subsidy. On the other hand, I do not see them with capacity to say, okay, these are the challenges. Now, I don't even like talking about subsidy. How much does it take to build a new refinery, particularly with modular refineries? What is the cost? It doesn't make sense that I produce crude, I sell cheaply, and then I will go and import refined products and bring it to the country. No. And why should government even be involved in that process? It's a business. Now, people who are importing computers, importing lighting equipment, importing medical equipment, importing anything in this country, which one now is being regulated and subsidized? So I think the whole thing is that and then the other final point, why they cannot remove subsidy is because of political patronage. They use it to sustain themselves in power. They use it to reward people. For example, NNPC is the one organization importing the crude. And I'm sure they have vendors that are doing the importation for them. I don't see NNPC having the capacity or directly involving in all the intricacies of importing the refined products into this country. So what I'm saying basically is that this government, they need to up their game. And they need to be more honest with Nigerians. You cannot now demonize the previous government when they wanted to remove subsidy. That is, it's bad. Oh, no. You can fix the refinery, you can all the sweet talk. Where are we today? We've gone back from frying to fire.
In the past couple of minutes, indeed, over 30 minutes indeed, I've been speaking with Peter Ame. No, Madakiame. Madakiame is a friend of the house. he is also very deep in the knowledge and the legal frameworks and operations of the oil and gas industry. Madaki, thank you very much for coming to the conversation.
Thank you, my baby.
Also, I've been speaking with Peter Ademo Ete. I will tell Peter what Ete means in Igbo after this program. But Peter, thank you very much for coming.
Nice having me.
Well, my name remains Mabose Njoki. If my changes, can we meet next Sunday? Good afternoon.
Anakuna correct salute again today as we don't carry come again for corruption tori for where we dey shine torchlight put for on top any kind mago kurukere movement inside we country Nigeria. My name na Ufuoma Egoriase. Una welcome. I get plenty question where I wan ask una today. How many life we dey throw away every day inside accident when na bad road dey cause am? Now how many vehicle don't break down for this we bumper to fender road where the owner can't dey find money take do the repair? For this one self where money come get as e be to find for this country. How many families them don't do till day break lie down sleep under open heaven sake of motor wey spoil for road? And sometimes self e dey spoil for bad place where they fit to rob, kidnap or even kill themselves. For Lagos 2 months ago for the Oshodi-Apapa Expressway, one container fall comot for trailer wey carry am land gidigba on top danfo wey carry passenger. Delete everybody patapata, including one young graduate from Imo State, where they just dey wait for a call-up letter make he go do attention serving country for NYSC. Chai, and them just dey approve money up and down, say na for road maintenance o, road maintenance o. The agency dey straight face for office pretend say dem dey award contract for materials to maintain this road, come shocking the money put for pocket. Shey you no reason am say na blood money be this o? The EFCC believe say this kind fraud no be here. E dey wicked, e so wicked, e pass the wickedness wey they say e dey for human being heart enter inside devil own. Plus say na serious gbege for we economy. E dey slow with natural progress. And then dem come dey ask say make we cut, make sure say anybody wey dey gbab for this kind fraud, dem must to pay. Make we enjoy today's story. One permanent seke for Borno State Road Maintenance Agency, wey be Borma for short, Abba Yusuf, with two of him officers them, Mustafa Kura and Abubakar Mustafa, balance for Maiduguri prison now they work base, as na there High Court for Borno State remand them put. The EFCC dragged this palm sec Abba Yusuf, Mustafa Kura, wey be transport officer, and Abubakar Mustafa, wey be cashier for the maintenance agency, go court for 36 count charge of criminal joint body, say them come forge different things, still take lie collect some kind money, reach where them gazo public money of reach 118 million naira, come divert am enter stomach maintenance.
Any public servant that embezzle money is supposed to be brought to book. I can tell you right from 1960 to date, if Mr. President should go back to record, there are contracts awarded in billions, and in the federal government, state and local government, it has not been executed, yet the money was siphoned. Nobody is looking at it. And as a result of that, that is why there is suffering of the masses.
Whatever anybody created, not for only for the government, but for his own family and his community, because he doesn't fall from heaven, but he was born, raised, schooled within Nigeria and from one family. So he has dented his family or a family record and life.
If he has misappropriated or embezzled the funds meant for government, there are various rules and regulations. The laws should cut off with him. He should be able to face the consequences.
That money does not belong to him. The money is meant for the pharmacists to make use of it, to repair our roads, to help to assist the poor people. Like them, most of them they fly over by the air. We move on the road because they don't care about us. They look at us like as if we are slaves, we are animals. Because they don't care about our financial, they don't care about our life. If you don't have money, they look at you. You are just like a rack. That man that take that money to save people's life, to care for the society, care for the Nigeria. That is why we are dying anyhow. I will that man need to be locked up. In short, no need to. They should jail him in prison because you don't want people. You don't care about people's life.
The EFCC Yan Court say these road maintenance officers forge receipts of different companies, use them take add join the money for materials where the Borno State Road Maintenance Agency they buy for road matter, come thief the agency money chop.
I am of the opinion that in order to erase corruption in this country, we have to enact a law on corruption so that anybody that embezzles government fund, no matter how highly placed he is, in my own opinion, he is supposed not to be convicted. He has to go undergo what is called firing squad. Straight. By the time we bring this into the system, everybody will go back to drawing board. And once we do that, it shows clearly that the day of reckoning has come. Regarding the roads in the whole nation, particularly in the northern part of the country, there are no roads. There are a lot of potholes. Like me now, I cannot go to Jos.
Yes.
I will spend 5 hours before I get to Jos. And when previously, before then, one can go to Jos within 2.5 hours. Today you spend 4 hours. And because of the potholes, hoodlums, armed robbers, kidnappers are coming out day and night to hijack people, to kidnap people. This is as a result of lack of maintenance of the roads. Because the money meant for the maintenance is not judiciously utilized. So a peasant man, a poor man, is suffering at the grassroots.
I support EFCC because that kind of thing is a bad thing. One, money that are meant for public fund, and somebody just try to siphon it to his own pocket. It's a criminal offense. He needs to be tried, and if the person is being investigated and found guilty, he needs to be jailed, so that to serve as an example to others. When they investigate and they discover that truly they are guilty of that, they should jail them. They should jail them, even life imprisonment, so that it will serve as an example for others.
The effect of the permanent secretary unprofessional attitudes towards what he has been given or entrusted to him, it has a long way. You know, one, people will not be able to transport their food items from the rural area to the city. That is number one. It will give an access to the menace of some other men of the underworld, such as armed robbery and so many things, attacks. Then two, and number three, is that we discover that what people supposed to have been gaining to feed their family or to the people have already been truncated through bad roads. The permanence or the whoever that is has been given, appointed to do this, but he refused and he diverted it. So that is what we call corruption.
They give him that money to use it for good Nigerians. So if he's a good Nigerian, so that man, I think, is not helping government. He's destroying the government. That is why we are blaming our president. We are blaming them that they are not doing a right thing. But as far as they are signing for the money to the pound sake to use it and do a good thing, but they are not doing a good thing, means that they are spoiling the government.
If you ask me, that kind of man, the government, because it's under somebody's control, the governor should call him to question and give him the necessary orders to return the money. If they don't do that, I mean, the entire governor and his cabinet are the one that are doing the same thing. They are just covering up. I'm seeing a situation where someone has committed an offense against the state and he's facing the consequences based on the offense he's committed. So that is it.
The EFCC talks say these three officials hold 91.5 million naira where the agency trust give them to buy correct stone crush machine of 250 ton. But they can't carry 13.5 million come up for the money, pass shortcut go their pocket.
What are we trying to, what do we want to leave to our youth, to our children yet unborn? Corruption has really brought Nigeria backward. We are not developing because the money that is meant for development, one individual will just convert it to his own personal purse. And most of them, the money is in the show of, outside the show of this land. And Nigerians are suffering. All these cases of kidnapping, armed robbery, what have you, is as a result of corruption. The unfortunate thing is that this is, the leadership is just an opportunity. You are to serve, not to become a leader on top of the people. And I want to believe, if we are to be very sincere enough to ensure that we carry every person alone, we must ensure corruption is fought to the latter.
When the road is not good, that's why we see a lot of accidents here and there. And from there, another bad effect is that the armed robber will be able to lay ambush. So then all these kidnappers too, they use it as avenue to do their evil. So there are so many things. When there's a bad road, a journey that's supposed to take like maybe 5 hours, and you are now spending like 8 hours. Then the transporters will be complaining that the road is not good, and it's have effect on their own car. So from there they have to increase the fees. Then it will be affecting the common man on the street. All those the blood that are shed on that road that are meant where if they are supposed to have done the right thing, and of course the road is free and everything is going smoothly. Then, but if that thing is happening that people are dying daily on that road, it's a blood money.
You are meant to do certain things that will benefit the citizens, and you embezzle the money and the citizens dine on it. It is a blood money. It's completely blood money.
These three people where them accused so tell the court to say they know they guilty o. Come beg, say I beg, make them give them bail. The judge will oversee the trial, knock order put to say make them first of us, remand them put for prison, make them they breathe for there like wine for fridge. Titi reach when him go come consider whether him go give them bail. My people, this case don't shine light put for how road maintenance agencies they get bad name from country people. Country people they accuse them say they know they maintain any road. Then they suffer people when they use this road well, especially during this festive period where travel they plenty. If the agency no even can't get the machine where government they provide money to buy, if them gazo the money they go another corner, how the maintenance go even happen safe? Meanwhile, some people they shine crate of teeth go bank, while country people they blame government for another side. Then they lose life, they lose property for bad road, they suffer on a daily basis. Now this won't be our corruption story for today. I bet we gonna join us again next week Sunday for another story. My name na Ufwoma Eguriase. Una bye bye yo.